I don't cry when it rains no more, or I get dirt on my shoes. I don't mind climbing 8 more floors, 'cause these stairs are all heading to you. I don't wait for tomorrow's sunshine when I feel it today. But when it's cold in the dead of winter, remember that snow melts away. One more cold drink, one more roll, one more dance before the doors get closed. Please remember, enjoy the show. Let's get happy before we get old. We don't need plans or a fancy agenda. Let's just see where it goes. We got no care for the way people stare at the dust and the dirt on our clothes. Hey, my friend, we'll never say
Hey, everybody, come on into the Cajun cooking experience. Man, tonight I'm Spuddy, and then look, we got a good one tonight, some smoked rabbit gumbo. I think I may even have some smoked coon in there, because I'm not sure what was in that bag, but the hell, we're going to make a gumbo with it anyway. So what we've done tonight, it's hunting season. It's the fall. It's time for gumbo. But these are rabbits that were killed last year, smoked, so that we're going to use wild rabbit tonight. We also put some turkey necks and some andouille in it. So it's a gumbo with a lot of smoke. You have to really like smoke for this gumbo, and you really have to like wild game. Where you at, Dale, Rocky, Wagger, Stack? So what we're doing is getting the oil hot so we can start making our roux, because it's going to take a pretty good roux. Now, let's see. Let me get this fire up on this thing. What'd you say, Lucy? All right. Now we're going to get our, and what I'm waiting for right now, I'm waiting for this grease to get hot. Now, I've seen people, some people like to put their flour in when the oil is cold and let it build up. You know, everybody has their own way of making roux. And anybody out there that's not familiar with our roux that we make over here in our Cajun style, roux are flour and oil or some kind of fat and flour. But I'm going to tell you something else. We make ours dark. A lot of people, once you get above I-10, you go to northern United States, they're going to start making anywhere from blonde, a white roux to a blonde roux. White roux they use to make like biscuit gravy for the biscuits. And then a blonde roux would be a lot of your Creole cooking. All right, here we go. Now, I have a half a block of lard, which I'm not exactly sure how that relates to in cups. So I'm just going to feel this roux out. I'm going to feel this out so that I put my flour until I get the thickness that I want. And I'll show you what that means in a little while. Oh, man. Now, this roux smell, when I was making a roux, when I had the kitchen open, people would come from outside, come in the kitchen and say, hey, man, you making a roux? It smells all over. This place, my place, will smell roux for about 2 days after we finish making this gumbo. What's up, Bobby? Good evening to you, my brother. All right. I'm going to lower this fire a little bit, because I've got this rolling. Now, what you want to do, you want to take your time with this. You want to make sure you keep enough heat on it where it's bubbling a little bit, but you want to take your time. Don't rush your roux. And you can rush it, but you take a heavy chance of burning it. And if you get a little burnt spot in here, you take this roux and shove it somewhere, but you're not going to use it to make a gumbo. Now, when we do our Cajun cooking classes, we'll go ahead and bring roux in here. We'll bring the flour and the oil. And the first thing people want to do is when they start stirring, they'll see the little balls that stick up and they want to start chopping it. Don't do that. Just keep this smooth rhythm going. All right? You don't want to start chopping in that grease. It's too dangerous. Oh, Mike, what's going on, brother? St. Augustine, looking for a seat. You got it. St. Augustine. All right. Now, we're starting to get a little thickness in here now. This is what we want. And the way I check this, why is this? I'll pull this pot back. Let me bring that camera down. We'll be able to see it. See how it comes back together? It's still coming a little fast. This is how I check my thickness. So I'll keep the camera here a little bit. Add a little bit of flour at a time. And we'll check that again. I can tell you, it's just about there. Now, the reason for the roux is to thicken the gravy. But we're going to talk about some gumbos that would have been made in the 1800s that would have had very, very little roux in it. We're putting a lot of roux. I'll probably use about a little bit over a cup of flour in here. Okay, you see how slow it's coming back? This is a good thickness. If I decide that I want it a little bit thicker, I can always add some more flour later on. If you make it too thick, it starts balling up in the pot. And that's what we don't want. Where you at, Hollywood? So the gumbo, or should I say gumbo, G-O-M-B-O, that word came from King Gumbo. Oh, Bruce, from Paulina. Gumbo was a West African word, and it came from the Central Bantu word for okra, okay? King Gumbo. And it was okra, and the gumbo spelled G-O-M-B-O. If you're out there reading articles, you have to make sure of a few things. Reading the article, are they talking about okra? Are they talking about okra, the soup? Or are they talking about okra, the vegetable? That's what you have to make sure of. And a lot of old recipes, what you see is they'll go ahead when they put the okra in, they put it in like they'll count. We need 20 okra for this dish. They'll actually count out the okra. Us, we just cut them up and smother them down and put in when we feel. Hey, Cindy, the thicker the roux, the better the taste. Well, Hollywood, the darker the roux, the better the taste. The thicker the roux, so the lighter the roux, the less roux you need to thicken your gravy. The darker the roux, you need more roux to thicken your gravy. But it's going to give you that dark roux is going to give you that nutty flavor. And that nutty flavor is going to be what makes our dishes, our gumbo, unique compared to the rest of the world. And I'm going to show y'all what I'm doing here in this plate. Just keep an eye on it. Okay, I kick this up a little bit. And it's a matter of getting this temperature right under here. So that okra has been around. Okra itself has been around for a long, long time. And since it came over on the transatlantic slave ships, it came into New Orleans, and it's been a major crop of our area. And then a lot of the southern part of the United States, okra really caught on. There were articles of ladies that they would grow okra in their front yards and sell the okra, and that was their spare spending money. That's what they use a little extra spending money. And even today, people will grow okra, pick the okra up every other day, cut it up, put it in Ziploc bags, sell a Ziploc bag for a gallon Ziploc bag for $10, and that's their little gambling money. That's that little casino cachet. All right, we're starting to get a little color in this roux now. So when you first started hearing about gumbo in the 1800s, until then, it really wasn't written about. It would have been written as far as the okra, the gumbo. But as far as making the gumbo, the soup, that came later. And it was always the people that they were always referred to as having the best gumbo in the world were in New Orleans. And remember, newspapers were written by people in the city. So and then they wouldn't have covered Vassar, Louisiana. They wouldn't have covered most of the land out away from New Orleans or out away from Lafayette. Rochelle, what you say, man? How you doing? Oh, Joey, $10 a bag, a gallon bag. I want 10 more, like $16 to $18. Damn, y'all get some good money over there. But if you cut up the okra, you're gonna get it. People don't have the time to fool with it. Even if They don't even want to buy the sack of whole okra and cut it anymore. They want it cut up, ready to cook. And one of the things you can do when it's okra season, which is getting ready to come to an end, the fall is here. The plants are actually going to start changing, and pretty soon, as soon as your first freeze comes, that okra are dead. But everybody's pretty much wiping it out their garden to plant their winter garden now. Well, one of the things that they used to do with the okra plant, they made string, they made paper out of it, and they also with the okra, you let it dry and you dry the beans. And if you take it and dry the beans after, so you let the okra dry so it just dies on the bush. You take the seeds and you dry those seeds and then you crush them. You can make imitation coffee. I got 12 in my freezer. So we used to take and cut okra every day, or every other day. When I first went into business, and we'd put them in the freezer and hold them till Lent, because Lent seafood, a lot of seafood gumbos made during Lent. So people would buy them and they'd want fresh cut okra when they were out of season. It was very, very valuable commodity. Problem was holding them in the freezer over 6 months, they would start turning brown. It didn't work out real well. Okay. Now, so when I was looking at old newspaper articles, using the 1840s to about 1900, you start seeing where where gumbo's picking up. They would make gumbo with all kind of meat. You always, I don't know if you've ever heard the expression, gumbo was made for leftovers. Gumbos were made for anything that you had. And if you go back in this time, they would put any kind of meat. Chicken was always in it. I don't care if it was a seafood gumbo or if it was any other kind of gumbo. They always used chicken because everybody raised chickens. And then most of the time they didn't make a roux. They would start off with a little bit lard, and then they would take the chicken and kind of roll it in the flour and just cook that chicken down in that flour. Then add their onions. Most of the time, all they had was onions. Add their onions to it, and then add water to that, and just let it slow cook. Now you gotta realize we're on wood burner stoves, and just let it slow cook until there was time to put the main meat in. Thank you. Hi, what's up, man? Vacuum pack spud lasts long. That was the days before I had a backpack machine, Jordan. I didn't have a backpack machine those days. So, we'll pack them in a Ziploc bags. If I'd have vacuum packed them, it would have been a no-brainer. Okay. Now you see it starting to turn? Let's take a peek in that pot. You'll see it starting to turn. You want to come get something, Elaine? Tell them come get it. Got a customer calling for something to buy. Nope. Okay. Now you see right here, you see that it's gotten, remember I quit a while ago, so the roux's gotten a little bit thick. That means you have to work a little harder. Now, one of the things you have to do is keep working that roux. Keep stirring it. Don't let up on it. Because man, if you let up and you get one little burn spot in it, not good. All right, get another little. Now we're starting to get into the blonde roux. This is the beginning of your blonde roux. This would have been a lot of your Creole cooking. But like I said, you had the white roux. That was more for northern part, north of I-10. The northern United States. And everybody that comes to do my Cajun cooking experience, this is about as far as they'll go. Very few people have gone further than this when they're making the roux. They can make their biscuits and gravy or whatever else they need. Hey, Gina, watching from Livingston, Louisiana. Yes, indeed. I've seen some people just put flour directly into the gumbo to thicken it. Why do you have to go through all that work? Bobby, I'm going to answer that for you in a second. Hey, Mark, Cooks is cooking next weekend. No, you ain't got to worry. I'm teaching them. I got him covered, brother. Hey, Vanessa. Been a long time, baby. So, Bobby, what they do with the flour, it's just used as the thicken the gumbo. It's not really giving any flavor. I had a lady cook for me, and I still do this. I'll take some flour and water. Let's say I'm cooking a pot of red beans or white beans, or I'm cooking a gravy, and it's just not thick enough. And I have to get it done. I'll take that flour and water, mix it up, make a little slurry, and put it in there, and it helps thicken it up. But Jeannie, you're right, has no flavor. It does nothing, just acts as a thickener. Now you can see we're building this gumbo. Gumbo is made of three things: oil, flour, and water. That's it. So those three things gumbos will have in common. Here's the deal. How your gumbo is going to taste, and this is what changes everybody's gumbo, is going to depend the quality of what you put in. You know, if you're putting some smoked rabbit and coon like we're putting in tonight, you okay. But if you're going to put some andouille sausage, or you're going to put some chicken, make sure you have some good stuff. Because if you put trash in, you're going to get trash out. Joy, just went conversation on Facebook about who cooked better in the area code. Guess who came out on top? 377 north of I-10 got mad. We are the best. Is there a flour alternative? You can use cornstarch to do the same thing. It's really not it's not going to be any different. Like I said, they just add that as a thickener, but they're not getting flavor out of it. Now, something else you can do, Bobby, if you wanted to, and this is how you make a healthy roux. You take this flour and you bake it in the oven. I think you bake it at about 350. You have to be careful, or you can do it on a stove in this pot. You have to keep stirring it. You brown that flour. That'll give you some flavor. You make it a dark brown flour, it'll give you some flavor and leave the oil out. So that works pretty good if you're trying to make a healthy gumbo. But if you brown that flour, it's going to give a little bit nutty flavor. Hey, Mildred, and I've done it before and I really like it. But tonight we're just going to build the traditional roux. Okay. And this is going to show all the ways that I change the ways that the color changes on this roux as we go down. Brown flour without the oil, I do it all the time. See, Joey does it all the time. That'll work real well. That's the only way I would use plain flour. Anytime you put plain flour or something, I'm only doing it to thicken that gravy that I'm cooking. It works well for beans. You know, you're in a rush and the beans just don't want to, you can't get the water out. Maybe add a little bit too much. Throw you a little bit of flour in there with some oil. Mix it up real good, and it'll thicken those beans up for you. Any kind of gravy. Cooking a stew, sometimes it doesn't come out thick enough. It has the flavor, just not thick enough. You throw your little flour and water in there. Hollywood, flavor the right amount of seasoning with that roux would be a good gumbo. Yeah, that's right, Hollywood. No problem, Bobby. But that was actually a very good question. Because I've been asked that before. Okay. So in 1803, this is how far back we have documentation of a gumbo, that it was served at a gubernatorial reception in New Orleans. Now, it didn't say what kind of gumbo. It didn't say how they cooked it. And in 1804, a gumbo was served in the Cajun gathering on the Acadian coast. So you step back in that time, they were serving gumbo. If you read old newspaper articles, people would come to New Orleans, and when they get here, they'd want gumbo. This is what we were known for. And I promise you, all the gumbo had okra in it. That's guaranteed. Oh, Donald. Hey, but man, carry on your excellence from a fellow river rat. Oh, yeah, born in that river, go down in that damn river. All right. Let me hit this again. So I'm making right here, what I'm making is my rubo. That's what I call it. Instead of rainbow, I call it a rubo. And this is just to show you the different colors, the different stages that you're going through with this gumbo, with this roux. Now, I've just about got it. Take a peek in that pot. Just about got this roux where I want it, okay? Now, if you're making a roux, cast iron pot's always going to work really well, probably work the best. Gives you a good distribution of heat. If you have to use stainless steel, don't use aluminum, whatever you do. You see the color? Got some good color in this thing. So it's coming along really well. Now, whatever you do, do not use an aluminum pot to make a roux. I almost promise you're going to burn it. You can use stainless steel. Make sure it's got the thick bottom. There's pots that I have. You see me with my stainless steel pot here most of the time cooking. I used to call that my roux pot. I made all the roux with that pot. All of us Canucks in the house, Nova Scotia. All our people in Nova Scotia. So the gumbo we're cooking tonight is going to be, hey, Shelly, we're cooking a wild game gumbo. We're using rabbit. I know I have smoked rabbit. I think the other half is smoked coon. Now, some people would say, what the hell you doing smoking the coon? If you know how to clean it, a coon smoke is going to be very, very good. Yes, Cindy, wooden spoon. It's so because I made too much noise with a metal spoon. I used to use a spatula. It made so much noise people couldn't hear what I was saying. But I love a wooden spoon in making a roux. There's two things I use. I'll use this wooden spoon, or there's a wide hamburger flipper. It's a 6-inch wide flipper. That works really, really well. Okay, this roux is about done. We're going to go back in that pot. And you can see the color. Got some nice dark color in here. Right where we want it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring them onions in. Okay. You can see. This is when. Hey, Katie. All the way from St. Louis. What's going on, baby? Now, you see these onions, you want to cook these onions in. You want to make sure that you let these onions cook in your roux a while. It's going to release those sugars. It's going to release, and that's going to give you some different flavor in your gumbo. If you want to go ahead and just add the onions to your gumbo after the water's boiling, knock your lights out, but it's not going to be as good as this. I use a wooden spoon, not for cooking. Child training. Yeah, I had one of them over me too, Bobby. Now what I'm going to do, this is my own do it. A lot of times what I'll do is, and you think about this, I'll go ahead and when I'm bringing my meat like on do it and chicken and all in, I'll brown it first. I'll have a pot on the side and I'll just saute it a little bit. And what it does, it kind of gives that little fried flavor to it. And just use a little bit olive oil, a little bit avocado oil, just a little bit oil in it. And man, it's going to make a difference in your gumbo. Besides, I have so much other stuff coming in, I didn't do that tonight. Casey, came from Alabama. All right, we're driving to church, but saving this to watch later. Oh, thank you, Casey. Oh, man. Let's bring it down in that pot. I'm going to try to bring it down in that pot. You see, it's got some really good color. I'm not much longer. I'm going to let it cook a little bit longer, and I'm getting ready to bring the stock in. Then I'm going to explain what I've got in this stock, because it's amazing. I'm going to bring the celery in and garlic in. I want that to cook a little bit before I bring my stock in. And my mushrooms. Now, you don't have to put mushrooms in the gumbo. Look, I eat mushrooms for breakfast most mornings. I'll grill that and eat that with my oatmeal and eggs or my avocado toast or whatever I'm eating. I love smothered mushrooms. And this is where you want to make sure you keep stirring this thing. All right, here we go. Here goes the stock. That's another way I could have done this. Let me kick this fire up. All right. That's another way I could have done this. I could have went and just made the roux. This right here, this stock that I'm using, all it is I boiled my rabbit and my coon today. I boiled it before we actually came here, okay? Katie, love your cooking. Oh, St. Louis, here I come. So I bought my rabbit, and because it's wild game, and we only, I'm trying to keep this show to an hour, that I'll boil them in the side. But that water I boil in, that's what's coming. I'm not losing any flavor. That's coming back into this gumbo. In the hunting camps, and this is where you've seen most of your wild game cooking, wild game gumbo at. It had been in the hunting camps. What they would do is they would cook the whole thing in here and just let it slow cook because they had all day. It would be the same guys cooking all the time. And they would let this slow cook. Rabbit and what? Smoked coon, rabbit. In fact, I smoked 3 coons for a friend of mine this week. Now I want to get this boiling. Once this gets boiling, you have to let it cook, boil for 15 minutes. Let the flour release the enzymes and starches. If you don't, what you're going to get is a gritty, tastes like sand in the gumbo. You have to let this flour cook out. And the only way to do it is to boil it. Raccoon, you got it, Bobby. Got to remember, this is what you always heard me say this. Watch what you eat when the Cajun's cooking. You never know what they're putting in this pot. That's a fact, Jack. So I boil my chicken gizzards, or what we call rabbit gizzards. And y'all rabbits don't ever gizzard. But you have rabbit gizzards, you have coon, and you have turkey necks, and you have rabbit. Gross. Yeah, Bobby, when you're hungry, it's damn good. Look, I didn't eat that came to Vashon. The first time I ate it, I went, pretty good stuff. And once it starts boiling, this thing's going to start thickening up a little bit. Okay, let's go back in the pot. Okay, there's your progression of the roux. We went from a white roux to a blonde roux, then we started getting into the dark roux. And this is where we finish right here. So you can see the progression. These light roux are going to be able to, they're going to thicken your gravy. They're going to make your gravy, you need less roux to thicken your gravy. These here, they're going to give you the nutty flavor. And that nutty flavor, hey, Brenda. Hell yeah. See, Brenda knows that coon that best tasting gumbo. Wait, he had turkey neck, no, Jean Poirier. You heard the name, brother. Hey, Wilma. Wow, look at the color of this thing. You can see the color. So when you got that dark brown color in that gumbo, this is awesome. Now, if you go further west, that roux is going to be darker than what I made. It would be probably about 2 levels darker than when I quit at. It's going to be almost black. They're on the edge of burning it. I've eaten it before. I don't like it, but you know what? You have to get used to it. It just sat on my chest all night. It was too dark for me. Donald, Spuddy, do you do dishes with Nutra? Only if somebody gets them to me. We did a show over here. The Harry Bikers filmed a show here. I want to say around 2010, somewhere up in that area. And we made some Nutra on doing. We made it. I smoked it. I sent it to the camp with my father-in-law. And guess what? They ate it. They didn't care what it was. Actually, it was a very good, very, very good on doing. Nutra, you have to remember, very, very clean animal. It's a vegetarian. So they really have a very good meat. Just down the river in their garden, my grandpa cooked a light roux. Look, when I was growing up in St. Rose, those roux were lighter. We had more of the Creole, little bit Cajun, Italian cooking in St. Rose. Turkey Neck's talking about, we're only talking about 20 miles away, 15, 20 miles, and they had the light route. So it starts changing, because you remember, Cajuns came in here. St. James Parish is where they landed first, with what they call the little area they call Cabanossi. Cajuns are the ones that make the dark route. Your Creole people would be making the lighter route. Oh, Tim, they do a dark route with duck. Yep. Okay, we're just trying to get this stuff off. It's got a good little thickness to it, but I don't want a gumbo to be too thick. Now, we can talk about that. Everybody has their favorite texture for their gumbo, whether it would be a thick gravy, a thinner gravy. When I grew up, Mom always had a thinner gravy. When I came over here, the gravy's got a little thicker. I try to get mine in between. The thicker the gravy, you find you get that nuttier flavor, but the next day you almost have a stew. So you have to be careful with that. You may have to add some water. More French background than Cajun. That's what I figured, Turkey Neck. Because the Cajuns actually didn't start until another 30 miles away from them. And that happened around the late 1750s, or somewhere in the 1750s, late 40s, early 1750s, the Cajuns would have come in. They came into the plantation that was owned by a guy by the name of Jacques Cantrell. All right, this is a workout. So okra was always used as a thickener. And I'd like to know, like, what they considered, when they first got here, they probably were just smothering the okra, making it a thick, because it's real thick. But as it went on, that smothered okra, adding water to it, add some protein to it, you started getting into the gumbo that we eat today. Oh, hell yeah, Bobby. I got that photographic mind, man. But it's believed now, everybody's heard of filet or the sassafras, and that was used by the Native Americans. The sassafras, they believe, would have been used out here when okra was out of season. So once the okra was out of season and you couldn't grow it anymore, you had no refrigeration, then the sassafras would have been something that they would have used. Love the great history lessons you include with your idea. Oh, thank you, Katie. Let me tell you what, I'm a history freak. I just wish I'd have been like this in high school. No, I hated history. So there's a recipe I saw out there, seafood gumbo. They would have had chicken in it. They also would have had beef and ham or some mutton or any kind of meat you could think of. And it uses only 1 or 2 teaspoons of oil and flour that they would have used. Way back then, they weren't making real thick roux like we make now. Okay? It's a lot different. It's funny, my sister gets mad at me because they always tell me an original gumbo doesn't have a roux, and I disagree. Well, Glenn, they may be partially right. I go back and look at all these old articles. They made a conda roux. They would take their chicken and do like a fricassee. They would roll it in flour and they would fry their chicken in this pot, in the oil, in lard. So that gave them help give their thickness. And then they would come and bury it with onions, maybe bell peppers, bury it with that. And once they did that, they would add some water and let it simmer for hours. So they partially are right. They still had a roux, but not like we make today. Now in New Orleans, you have to remember the French, they were making a roux. Roux are French. So the French people, when they came from France, they were already making a roux. It had been a blonde roux. Are you making potato salad on the side? I don't know if I like them guys that much, Donald. But potato salad will always go as a side for gumbo. Now, whether you put the potato salad in your gumbo, on the side of your gumbo, you want a battle? That is a battle. I put mine in because I don't like mayo. But if you put the potato salad in the gumbo, it gives it a real creamy texture. Hey, Melissa, they prefer it soupy. That's it, Glenn. That's how I grew up with the soupy gumbo. Okay, we're starting to get a little ball here. Oh, hell yeah. Man, I've got a lot of meat to come in here. All right, Dora, or Jar, whatever one's watching, like theirs on the side. Brianna, what's going on, baby? All right, let's get this thing boiling. Take a little peek in the pot. See, we got some good color going there. Oh, hell yeah. Now, we're going to bring my bell peppers in. Like I told you, I like all these different colors, different sweetnesses of each bell pepper. I just like to bring them all in just to give just a different taste in my food. Now, I'm going to read a recipe for y'all, and Glenn, you're gonna see what they mean. This is for oyster gumbo. Select the oysters with great care. Have them medium sized with deep shells. Serve them by laying down on chipped ice. Don't let the ice get on the oyster. Dilute them. Now, cook the chicken gumbo soup after these directions. This was done in 1897. Cut a quarter of a pound of fat salt pork into dices. Put it into a large soup kettle over the fire, adding a half a pound of onions in dices. See what they're doing? They're cooking those onions down in hog lard, the pork fat. Let the onions fry to golden brown. Cut 2 chickens into smaller pieces than for fricasseing. Roll the pieces in flour and put them in the kettle with a quarter of a pound of ham dices. So they're putting ham and the chicken. Next, add 6 tomatoes. You can tell this is done in New Orleans. Peeled and sliced, and 2 pounds of fresh young gumbo. What's fresh young gumbo? Okra. 2 pounds of fresh cut gumbo. All right? And then a heaping teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of curry. Pour over 3 quarts of water and in the kettle where the chicken will simmer slowly for 3 hours. Remember, these are yard-grown chickens. They're tough. It's not like your stuff you buy in the store right now. Do not strain the soup. Pour it in the deep dish surrounded with a border of rice, boiled Creole style. That's what they mean by they didn't make it with the roux. Just what I read right there. Vanessa, how did you make that stock? I make it, if you're going to do wild game gumbo, boil it first before you put it in your gumbo. You're going to save yourself a lot of time. That's how the stock was made, from the smoked rabbit, the smoked turkey necks, and the smoked coon. You should do a military dish online. Brianna, that's coming. They're not out yet. I want some fresh. I want some fresh military. That'll probably come in November when we get close to Thanksgiving. Stay tuned, because that will come. Okay, now we're getting a good boil. We're getting a damn good boil on this gumbo. I'm gonna bring my shallot bottoms in. So we wouldn't even think about, on a seafood gumbo, putting chicken and ham and beef in our gumbo. We wouldn't even think about that. That's what they did. And there was an article, they interviewed a lady, her name was Lizette, and they asked her how to cook a gumbo. She had that hard Cajun accent. Man, that gumbo, nothing like we cook today. Nothing like we cook. And if you go look at old recipes of gumbos, I found some old cookbooks, nothing like we do today. So 100 years from now, because these 100 recipes go back 100 years ago or longer, 100 years from now, they'll be cooking something totally different. Sweet potato oyster dressing would be amazing too. Oh man, that sounds good. That sounds damn good. Okay, now we're gonna let this boil a little bit. While it's boiling, what I've done is I've cut some big pieces of turkey neck. All right. When the turkey neck comes in, my turkey neck's about this long. The big end is about this big around. It shrunk a little bit. The small end's about this big around. So it starts with the big end and then it goes down. We're gonna bring that in. All this flavor from the turkey neck is already in here. So I'm not adding anything new to it. I'm just finishing it up. And then there's your rabbit. And there's your coon. And there's your gizzards. Bring all that meat in. Now, tomorrow night, I promise you, I'm going to have to add more water to this because this gumbo is going to thicken up. Now, I want to bring it to a boil and let all this cook in together. You know I got to start tasting. Man, this stock is slamming. Now, because we have a group of guys coming tomorrow night, so I'm cooking it for us like the camp crowd. This gumbo has to be a little spicy. When I cook for gumbo in my restaurant, I never made it spicy. Even if you gave it a little bit piquant, people would complain because they said the kids, a lot of them were bringing it home for the kids to eat too, or they had kids here. So we had to be careful. Oh, that Spuddy dance is coming, brother. Tell Marshall when the pine ball comes in. Marshall, make the stock with the pine ball. Okay. So we're going to add a little bit of this. I'm going to bring a little black pepper in. Now, salt, I'm not going to add any more salt. I don't want to do it here salt. All the stuff that I smoke, when I smoke my turkey necks, when I smoke my rabbit and all, what I do is I salt all that before I smoke it. And what it does, it makes it better smoke. I'll salt it, put it in the cooler overnight, and then that salt draws that water out so you get a better smoke the next day. There's your smoking hint. Claude, damn, it's looking good, huh, brother? I can add a little bit more stock to it. So the stock really, I just put everything in a pot. I actually forgot about it. I was in the back doing my research for this show and all, setting up the show for tonight, and all of a sudden I realized I had that stuff on fire. So it's very, very tender already. And you see, this made a really good, nice sized pot. I gotta give it the French bread taste. Let it come back to a boil. Now, gumbo is our cultural melting pot. I'm gonna explain what that means in a little bit. We used to serve our gumbo. You take slices of French bread, put it on the grill and grill it and butter it. Oh, and you dip that in your gumbo. Evidently, that's why they call it the melting pot. The melting pot of cuisine. Got it, Donald? Think about this. Okra, African. Roux, French. The filet, Native American Indians, they had the filet. And that's what they thicken their gravies with. The sausage, you don't do it. German. Wild game, Cajun. Seafood gumbo, whoever lived near water, whether it be the Mississippi River, whether it would be your lakes, like in New Orleans, it had been Lake Pontchartrain, or something like the bayous, like Bayou St. John. New Orleans had a lot of bayous that went from the lake to the river at one time. All that's been covered up, except for Bayou St. John. Bayou St. John was a major, major thoroughfare for New Orleans. A lot of the ocean-going ships would come in through Lake Pontchartrain because it was like easier, and then come up Bayou St. John to New Orleans, to the port of New Orleans, to the port in New Orleans. What do you say, Brian? Well, do you have a turtle soup recipe? I do have one somewhere, Brianna. I'll look for it and see if I can get it to you. If I can get some turtle, I'm gonna cook some turtle on this show too one night. Gotta have that sherry in it. All right, starting to come back to a little ball now. Oh. One more time. Oh man. Ooh. We're almost there. Got a good thickness to it. Probably a little bit too thick right now. I'm gonna be able to add, once I get it boiling, I add a little bit more stock. Oh, the pecan starting to set in. Mm-mm-mm. Now, when I eat this gumbo, I really don't care about eating the meat. I'm all about the juice of the gumbo because it's got such a good flavor. We don't do it. I love the turkey necks. The wild game, I could take it or leave it. My favorite way to cook rabbit is smothered with a lot of onions. Devin, you're about to run out of. I ain't gonna run out of bread, brother. But this thing's coming out good. I do need another little shot of pepper because we want this thing to have a little piquant tomorrow night. Because you see why they're eating this? They're drinking beer. It's got a little piquant to it. They'll buy another beer. Right turkey neck. Okay. Ooh. Oh man, now we're starting to get a little ball going. And you know, we're using rabbit, but rabbit's also always been very important species throughout their history. And figure rabbit started somewhere around Spain and Portugal. And that's where about the oldest fossils have been found. And it took about a couple thousand years from the time the rabbits were wild to get them tamed. Once they started taming the rabbits, domesticate them, then this is what you see people raising in their yard right now. The Romans had rabbit and they raised it for meat around 2000 BC. But not only for the meat, they also use it for the fur. Rabbit fur was very, very valuable. I still remember with people with rabbit fur coats. I think my sister might have had one. Now they don't do that anymore today, but I'm gonna tell you why that was very valuable. World War II. World War II, everybody had Victor Gardens. Beef and pork, people were asked to stay away from them. They were rationed. You're lucky if you could get them. That was for the soldiers. People would eat things like rabbit, chicken. That was their protein. But also raising rabbits, they would sell the hide to go for the soldiers for their bomber jackets, their hats. Because when they flew in those planes up there, they had oxygen, but it was cold. There was no temperature control in these planes. It was just cold. So rabbits have played a very, very important part of history. Ooh, we'll take a little peek in that pot now. Put some smoked nucha in the gumbo. Claude, you give me a nucha, and I'll make a smoked nucha gumbo. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Now, we're going to serve this over rice. Now, one of the things rabbits have, I can remember my mom, every time we come back from rabbit hunting, clean your hands, wear some gloves when we clean the rabbits. Rabbits do have a bacteria. It's called rabbit fever. It's caused by ticks. And when they get that rabbit fever, and if you have an open wound, you will pick it up and you'll get very sick. It is curable because it's a bacteria. But once you cook the meat, it's safe. Oh, mama didn't want her babies to catch rabbit fever. But we didn't listen. Okay. That's our little bowl of gumbo. And gumbo is always normally served over rice. Y'all, just join what we cooking. Smoked rabbit gumbo. Wild game gumbo, brother. So, most of the time you serve gumbo over rice. but it doesn't. You can serve it over anything you like. I've already, if you can slice cabbage real thin, slice it over cabbage. I mean, serve the gumbo over cabbage. I love that. I love that better than rice. You can use quinoa. You can use, serve it over anything that you like. Oh, don't do anything. Was that the same as swamp bitch? I'm not sure, Brian. I'm really not sure. And when you taste it, you want to taste it with the rice because that's going to give you the true flavor of the gumbo. This is what they're going to eat tomorrow night. Y'all, if y'all think this is good tonight, tomorrow night this damn gumbo is going to be slamming. Oh, man. This is good stuff. Now it's time to add my shallots in. Add my little parsley in. And let that cook in. And that's going to be, you forgot to drop a couple of eggs in there. And well, that's always an option. I don't know if anybody that does it with gumbo, they'll do it with red bean gumbo. But you can always put a couple poached eggs in here and definitely pick up the flavor. Whoo! All right. Tomorrow night, smoked rabbit gumbo it is. Got that little pecan going in there. And this one gumbo is actually finished. The meat is actually starting to come off the bone. So that's your wild game gumbo. You can do this with anything. You can, like I said, you can do it. People keep asking about Nutra. I would have no hesitation to cook Nutra. The state of Louisiana tried to get it going at one time. People were just turned off by the way the Nutra looked. Because look, it's got those big orange teeth sticking out, and people were turned off by that. Oh, thank you, Donald. Should have saw me on that cruise boat. I was shuffling all over the place. But people were turned off by that, and they were really trying to get it going. So because the nutrients were causing a lot of trouble, they were burrowing into our levees and really causing havoc on protection levees. But it never did catch on. And then later on, the state put a bounty on them to get rid of them because they're not native to this area. One of the hurricanes, they had an experiment going on with Nutra. One of the hurricanes blew the cages over. They got out, and man, do they multiply. Big time. It tastes just like rabbit. God. Tastes better than rabbit. This is better than damn rabbit. Remember, I got a little coon in there, too. Now I got the pecan. All right, y'all. That's a wrap. Got our smoked coon gumbo. Our smoked rabbit gumbo. We looking good. Burtis, I cooked the alligator gumbo a couple weeks ago. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Did you smoke it regular? Did you leave it like it is? Burtis, this thing is awesome. This gumbo is damn good. So now we're going to let it cool off. Everything is just going to suck up all the flavors. Thank you, Dino. It's just going to suck up all the flavor, all these things, everything we did tonight. It's just going to be on steroids. There's going to be a gumbo on steroids tomorrow when you eat it. This thing is just going to be downright awesome. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We've had a good crowd tonight. It's been a good dish to cook. Next week, I'm not sure what we're cooking, but if you have some suggestions, just send them on over. But I'm tell you what, I will think of something. Until next week, thank y'all, everybody. God bless y'all. We'll see y'all next week.